Hi and welcome back to my channel. In this video I thought I'd be speaking about summer reads. Yesterday I started thinking about summer and I began wondering about which books I was going to read this summer. Not that I ever have a specific TBR, that usually doesn't work, but I began thinking about what is a summer book and what does reading in summer mean to me, and I thought I'd discuss this a little bit. And later in the video I'll show you which books I bought for this summer, even though that really doesn't mean that I'm going to read them this year or this decade. There is one specific type of book I feel like both internet and people and bookstores are trying to push on me these days or each summer, and it's these ones. So the bright colored, shiny, summery vibey book types. My brain is at least one of those brains that think about summer when I look at this. But the other feelings I get when I look at covers that resembles this one is the ones of like books of not that great significance or cheap, easy ones. I can still enjoy them, but there's something that just makes me not do it, I guess. So I thought I'd show you which books I think about when I think about summer reads and talk a little bit about why I think these ones are a part of my summer catalog. And these are all recommendations, so if you want to read them, I suggest that you do. And if you have started planning out your TBR for this summer, please share it with the group below. The first book I thought I'd speak a little bit about is one that I read during summer, and I guess that this is a thing where you associate a read with a certain time of year, and maybe that author also will become your summer author just because you associate that author with summer. And for me, that's Sally Rooney with Normal People. I just read her latest book, and this one is about a dysfunctional couple trying to get things to work. I think the reason why I associate it with summer, as I said, I read it during summer, but it's also a lighter read, but it doesn't have that lightness to it. It's not like I felt like I read a cheap kiosk novel, if that's a word, but it's rather easily read, but a bit profound. Anyway, it's a quick read and you can carry it with you wherever you go. It's sweet. A bit down the same alley is The Midnight Library by Matt Haig, a huge success of a book. Also lightly read, it's about a woman trying to commit suicide but ends up in this place where she can choose to have new lives, experience different things, and try out new lives to see if any of the other ones fit. Since this is more of a magical realism thing, it's not as profound to me as the other one, but it's more for the escapist trying to just experience something else in a neat little package. At times I felt like this wasn't digging deep enough, but I enjoyed the read and it was relaxing, so one does need some relaxing reads for summer. Then over to one that gives me the summery vibes for all the right reasons, and it's Haruki Murakami, what I talk about when I talk about running. This is a memoir style type of book where he just talks about him running and what he thinks about and talks about when he runs. The reason why it's on the list is again because it's short, but also he talks a lot about running outside in the sunshine on Hawaii and just enjoying life. And I also like to run, so reading about someone else running the way he talks about it, it's just beautiful and it makes you kind of relaxed and happy. I would say that this is feel good based on how much Murakami loves running and writing about it. It's just enjoyable to read. And while we're in that feel good lane, I would like to talk about The Thursday Murder Club by Richard Osman. So I recently read the second one in this series, and this is just feel good raised to the maximum amount. It's about these 4 people living in this retirement village in England trying to solve unsolved crimes, and they're all so lovable. It's really atmospheric. I wouldn't say that it's very summery in the vibe. I know that many people like to read crime fiction when they're on holiday, maybe especially in Norway. We don't like to think about our own lives, so escaping through crime fiction is something we do. Maybe if you're one of those that likes reading crime fiction in summer, this is for you. And also, it's not the hardcore crime fiction, it's more easygoing. So if you want to further escape, I would suggest this one. and it's The House in the Cerulean Sea by T.J. Klune. It's about this caseworker working for the Department of Magical Youth. He goes to these orphanages to tidy up the places, and one day he gets an assignment to go visit the Antichrist of all orphanages. Difficult word. And the rest of the novel is sort of everyone falling in love with each other on very different levels. This also falls into the category of lovable characters being just feel good, and I do think that I was fooled by the cover because it doesn't feel as summery as this looks, but I feel like if you've watched a cover like this and then read the novel, you will be influenced by it, I would say. Just look at it, it looks kinda happy and kinda sad. Maybe I just wanted to talk about this because it brought me so much joy. I thoroughly enjoyed this one, and I didn't read it during summer, but I could easily see myself doing so. I thought I'd end this segment with talking about a book that is not a summer book at all, but it feels like a book I could enjoy reading during summer, and it's Stoner by John Williams, this modern classic about a young man going to university with a background in agriculture with farming parents. Let's just say he goes from like an uneducated family and to becoming a professor at a university. So it's a journey of intellect. It feels like a long time since I read this one, but it just made such a huge impact. And the reason why I'm talking about it today is that I do feel like I need a little bit of sentimentality in my summer reads. It doesn't feel great if all things are happy all of the time. I need a little resistance, and I do think that I find joy in reading about like one's deep thoughts and struggles, I would say. Maybe it has to do with the Norwegian seasonal depression time, whereas when it comes to summer you're ready to be happy again and then you can read about sad things. I do not know. I was going to make this video and I looked at my bookshelf to try to figure out which books I was going to talk about. I saw this one and I thought I loved this book when I read it. It feels like a book I want to talk more about, so maybe it's just that. Or maybe I just think it deserves to be read in summer. We'll never know. Then I thought I'd speak about the books that I've ordered today for summer. So these books I haven't gotten yet because I ordered them like half an hour ago, and I'm really happy with that. I started with a basket of like 30 books and then I just removed one by one. It's an intense process that I've spent the last 4 days doing. The first book I ordered is a book called Aowade on Top by Richard Aowade. I'm hoping that I'm pronouncing that correctly. I looked at a YouTube video trying to tell me how it's pronounced, but you never know. And this is a memoir type of book from this comedian. I really like him, and I think the tagline of this one is what got me interested in reading it. In Aowade on Top, Richard Aowade, perhaps one of the most insubstantial people of our age, takes us on a journey from Peckham to Paris by way of Nevada and other places we don't care about. I thought this was very funny, and I do think that humor is what I need for summer, or all year around, but especially during summer it's nice to read something with humor. My next purchase was All That's Left in the World by Eric J. Brown. This is the first time in a very, very long time that I've bought a book purely based on the cover on a post on Instagram, and I'm very happy with that because that was something I did a lot when I started out reading, and it gave me a lot of pleasant reads. This is a post-apocalyptic dystopian YA novel, and that only makes things better. I think this could be really fun. I don't think I've read something really, or I had to think about it for a second. I've read The Road by Cormac McCarthy, but other than that one, I don't think I've read anything post-apocalyptic. And since it's a YA novel, it might be a bit funny as well. Then I bought Conversations with Friends by Sally Rooney because, as I just mentioned, I love her books. And in many ways, the two I've read have been kind of similar in the way it's written, and it just progresses quite nicely. So I'm looking forward to reading that one as well. A couple of days ago, I saw this next one in a store and I thought, why not? It's a book by Kate Bush and it's called How to Be Invisible. And I do think that this book is all about going through her lyrics. And other than that, I do not know. I thought to myself, I've promised to read more music-related novels or books this year. Kate Bush is one that I really like, and I do find both the sound and her lyrics to be quite interesting. And I also thought that if I read more about this novel, I might just be a bit discouraged, because it's not necessarily something that is made for me specifically. I just think that this might be a real hit or miss. Then over to one I got recommended to me by a friend of this channel, and it's Lost for Words by Edward St. Aubyn. I think this is a satire novel about art and literature in general, and some of the examples I got from my friend were very humorous, so I'm looking forward to reading this one. I've been thinking for a while that I should read books about literature, not literature itself, and maybe it's better for me to read satire about literature critics or whatever. I do think this could be really good for me. It also seems lighthearted and fast-paced, so right down my alley. Then over to what I believe is going to be this year's stoner book, and it's Mayflies by Andrew O'Hagan. As I understand it, this is about boys growing up together in the 80s. I don't really know that much about it. It's just one of those famous books that you've seen a lot of places but never really sat down to read the back cover of. And the 4 first moods that Storygraph describes about this one is emotional, reflective, sad, and funny. And I think I read somewhere that there was a lot of music involved, so maybe that's what hooked me, but do think that I have to be in a very specific mood to read this one. I also did something else that I haven't done in a long time, and that is buying a book just based on the cover when you see it in a store. So I saw this one at the airport the other day and I thought, why not? It's Small Things Like These by Claire Keegan. It was shortlisted for the Booker Prize last year, and I had a period where I read a lot of the Booker Prize nominees and then I stopped because it was a bit too much. But this one is really short. I have no clue what it's about. I just like the cover and it's as easy as that. And I do miss the spontaneity of it all. So welcome back to old impulsive Øystein. And lastly, one that has been on my list for ages, it's The Unlikely Pilgrimage of Harold Fry by Rachel Joyce. I mentioned this in the video about AI that I recently made. It's just one of those that have been in my basket for so many times and I just haven't done anything about it. So now I just pushed it all the way to the top, decided that this is definitely the one that I'm going to buy this time. Luckily, a couple of books weren't available this time, so I didn't have to think about it. They were out of stock, so kind of good. I actually read a little bit about it now, and I thought this was one of those funny books, but it seems to be a mix of Mayflies and the Thursday Murder Club. It's about an old retired man, and don't think I'm going to read more about it. It's just that Storygraph says it's emotional, reflective, hopeful, inspiring, sad, adventurous, and then funny. Which, yeah, it just means that I have to lower my expectations for lols. So we'll wait. It's better for me to know what I'm getting myself into. So these were the books that I bought this time around. It has been a long time since I've just sat down in front of my computer and bought books online, because I'm trying not to buy that many books, but I thought it's summer, it's joyous, it's something that needed to be done. So please comment below if you have suggestions for what we all could read this summer, and thank you for watching this video. I hope to see you in the next one. Bye!